All right. All right, Adam. So where are you at with the Kleva? What do you know? What are your thoughts?
What do I know? I watched Steve's video, him sharing what had happened, and I have to say, well, before we get started, I had no idea that he had this relationship with Rogue Brewing, and then when he was like, we went from zero inventory to like rebuilding that momentum. I do remember all of a sudden like Cleve was like back in action, and so like that time lapse really made sense. The part that like I felt the most for him was when he said that Rogue needed everything. They needed his price for materials, they needed his CAD files, they needed designs, everything. And then to see similarly released products. Like I'm in the camp where different companies can release products that are very similar, and I'm okay with that. Where I have an issue with this one is timing, the relationship, and information that was shared, and it doesn't look good. One thing I'm kind of banking on and hoping for is because Rogue is such a big company. I hope it's not intentional, but it's hard to like get all this information and say that it wasn't, especially when you see like their new like, kind of like the Kleva Atlas. It's hard to think that it wasn't intentional. But I hope because it's such a big company that it's like a small working team with some bad intentions and not like a reflection of Rogue. Because I think Rogue's an amazing company that creates awesome products. That's where I sit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think, I mean, a few things go into it. Like number one, how could you make that decision to go through it? Did you just think that it was just going to not come out, that you were working with Kleva on something similar beforehand? And I am glad that Steve decided to go through this and like state that, because no one would have ever known. I think a lot of people were under the impression that it was just okay. Now it's Rogue versus Rep. It's more competition. I think that's the type of like comments I was seeing beforehand. But I mean, I just don't know. Like again, was it a small team that just made the decision? Like you said, I feel like Rogue's just gonna let this be, and we're never gonna hear from them. I did see a lot of comments saying they hope Rogue responds. For whatever reason, I just don't think they. I don't think they will. It does feel slimy. That's the word that comes to my mind. And I don't think I've seen anybody in all of the comments I've read say, "Oh yeah, Rogue can do this." It's too much knowing you almost had to deal with them, and it didn't go through.
You can see a product. You can say, I could make something similar to that and make it a little different. It's just the information that was shared, and like Steve said, the timing. It was like right after he partnered with Rep. Boom, this thing pops out, and it is shockingly similar.
Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
I don't know.
So
It takes me back. It takes me back to the mutant metal interactions and stuff like that, obviously. But the only difference is mutant metal didn't like have a potential deal working that fell through. NDAs like ran out, and then they both have free will to work, and then they came out with the Matador. Right? You're missing that piece where like intellectual property was given and then potentially used. I use the word potentially very loosely. I don't think it was potentially used. I think it was intentionally used. So, okay, that's all.
right. Yeah. I mean, I think we're on the same page here. And again, I don't think I've seen anybody really say something positive about what happened from the Rogue end. So I think it's pretty one-sided, and hopefully something good does eventually come out of it.
I would love just a Rogue response, even if they don't like make things right or mend things or anything like that. I just want to know what they're thinking. They don't owe that to. I think they owe it to Steve. I don't think they owe it to like Home Gym, member A and whatever. Like, but
Yeah.
curiosity has me like, what were you thinking?
Yeah. It does make Rep look good.
I think so. Yeah. Well, and just like in the HomeGymCon space, first of all, I didn't have any bad feelings or anything with Rogue's presence. I thought their presence at HomeGymCon is awesome. They bring like a super killer setup. But when Rep was there year one, and then they're working with BeltFed, and now they're working with Kleva, and I just think it's so cool how they're kind of really buying into that like community part of it. No, I'm not. That's not a knock at Rogue. I just think Rep, what they're doing is.
Yeah. All right. Yep. I think that's probably good. I've got a doc. Anything else you want to discuss? Anything on your mind?
Well, we have March Madness coming up, and I was
Got
kind
March
of
Madness.
wondering if we're gonna March Madness style some home gym topics or, equipment. I just wanted to see where you were at with that. It's the first thing that jumped into my head because we've done this before. And then obviously like Home Gym Hub has their version of it. So just seeing where we're standing on it. Or if we're just going to sit back and enjoy
I haven't
the
thought about
content
that at
comes out.
all.
All right.
Like, how would you do it?
We've kind of already done it with like attachments, haven't we? Yeah. I don't have
If anyone has ideas, let us know
in the comments.
in the comments.
Yeah, stick them in there.
Let me get your thoughts on this one. All right, so there's a guy. I don't want to name the guy, but he recently started a YouTube channel, and he has been trying to promote it on our home gym. I don't know exactly how, but ultimately he got kicked out, he said, and he's trying to come on to Garage Gym Radio and tell his side of the story. He's reaching out to somebody else about this, and that person came to a few people and was like, "What do you guys think?" And he basically expressed the frustrations with not being able to like promote his videos within, I believe, just Reddit, but it's also the same thing in Facebook, the Facebook group from Garage Gym Reviews. And I have definitely had some thoughts about that in the past. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts are, if it's like clearly stated that like we don't want this to be an advertisement place, we want this to be a communication about like the actual stuff that's out there, and if other people share and influencers take on the stuff we're talking about and it's relevant. But if it's a guy who's just like trying to pump up his numbers, using it as like commercial space, I could understand that. If it's not advertised, a nice warning would have been nice than just kicking out, which I don't know the full backstory.
I imagine, yeah. So yeah, I imagine there was more than just a one time. I mean, I do think there would be value in allowing people to share certain links at certain times.
And doesn't Reddit have channels down the side? Like Slack, don't they have channels? And you can just put like...
No, that's the Discord.
Discord does that.
So I was going to say, I think there's some value, but I also think there are probably rules in place for a reason for certain things. I mean, I remember doing like, Sunday survey discussions, and we used to get like hundreds of comments. And there were a few manufacturers who would just go down the list and be like, "Hey, check us out. Hey, check us out. Hey, check us out." And like, I respect the hustle, but it was also like,
Not the place.
Not the place. So, I mean, I think like, we've had issues with like, promoting HomeGymCon on the Facebook group, but
Sure, yeah.
So I just think it's like stuff like that is like there's like a very little tolerance because other people have probably ruined it in the past.
Yeah, and like that's where I said when it comes up organically, there's a way to go about it. I mean, you are HomeGymCon. I support HomeGymCon, obviously. I felt it came up organically and I was getting like, deleted like for no reason. And it seems like it's a lot more loose and lax now, which is great because I think that's a great page, and I think people in that page could really benefit from it. And we're not trying to like sell tickets through it, but people who like the event like to talk about it there. I think that's cool. And that's organic.
Yeah.
It's not like us jumping in there, buy tickets now, discount sale for you guys on this page, click here. Like it's not that. So
right. Yeah. So I just wanted to get your opinion on that.
I do like that you have turned this space into just like, yeah, we're listening. What do you want to talk about? Like for any like kind of issues and stuff like that. We've had some like people on who just wanted to share, and people can get mad about that person being on or whatever, but it's just people talking, and you can not like it, disagree with it, and it's cool.
Yeah. Not everyone has to agree. I've said this before, we don't really want to silence anybody. And like even we might disagree with other people who have a podcast on Garage Gym Radio as well.
Big
so,
time.
And that's totally fine. I don't think there's been too much disagreement, but
so.
There's been,
I'm
sure there's some.
Sure.
All right. So toe spacers. You love toe spacers.
Hey, unsolicited foot pick, Jake. I've got them on right now. See that? Yes, I love toe spacers. I'm jacked up now. Hit me with it.
All right. Tell me about them.
Tell you about
Tell
them.
me why
Okay.
you love them.
Why I love them. I got into running, and I originally started in just like some barefoot style shoes just because I didn't know any better. And then I was like, oh no, I'm running now. Like had done multiple marathons, multiple ultra marathons, and I thought I need a good running shoe. I found that when I switched to more cushion, higher drop shoes, my feet and ankles started to have a lot more problems. And it was around this time I was also listening to Born to Run. So if you don't know that book, you should definitely, I don't know about reading it. It's 11 hours on audiobook. Audiobook it. It's a great book. But they talk about the importance of being barefoot and building those muscles in your feet that you don't use unless you use your toes. So the reference is, how do you stimulate your forearm muscles? Well, you have to move your fingers. That's the only way to do it, right? How do you stimulate the muscles that are in the bottom of your foot? You have to move your toes. A lot of us stick our feet in these highly cushioned shoes. It's like a cast, and you don't stimulate the bottom of your foot, and it causes problems like plantar fasciitis and ankle problems and all this other stuff. And so I found that by using toe spacers, by walking barefoot, my feet and ankles feel really good. They feel healthy. I don't have as many ankle problems. I still run in, my buddy and I at work call them Squishmallows. It's in Hoka's. I run in Hoka's marshmallow shoes. And I found that after I get out of my Hoka's, my feet hurt. And so I put my toe spacers on for a couple hours, walk around barefoot, and I feel great the next morning. If I skip the toe spacers, go on a long run in my marshmallow shoes, the next morning's painful when I get out of bed. That's my take on toe spacers. There's a lot of people will talk about barefoot and all that stuff. I can only regurgitate stuff that I hear. Through personal experience, when I use them, I have less ankle pain and my feet feel really healthy.
Okay, so yeah, you're more of an expert. You've been using them longer. I don't know. How long was it been since I told you I got some? Maybe a
4
weeks, maybe a month. Yeah. So, I don't really have feet problems. I don't have ankle issues. I also don't run quite as much as you. My feet do like the small.
I was going to say, you got into barefoot shoes way before me. I think you've got a big benefit there.
Yeah. I mean, my toes do, like, the smaller ones go in though. So I've been putting them on every day for 30 minutes to an hour, and I haven't necessarily noticed any change in my feet, but I feel good. It feels good. Like, it just feels like it's healthy. I don't have too much more to add. I'm not like saying they're game changing, feet changing, athletic performance changing, but I mean, I think they have a little bit of a place. Feel good. Like, if I'm just laying there watching TV at the end of the day, feels like I'm at least getting something.
Yeah.
Doing something good for myself.
Yeah, it's a small habit that can give you minimal improvements, and over time, if you stop using it, you're like, oh wow, I really missed that because it doesn't feel as good anymore. But it's while you're doing it, it's like, am I doing anything? I've noticed like specific times, like I said, after long runs in super padded shoes where it helps a lot. But in just like my day-to-day life, I wear like a barefoot style shoe at work. So it's not really needed, but it feels good.
Yeah. So I will say too, though, when I bought them, so Toe Spacer, they went to HomeGymCon last year. Spacer Mobility. So I really wanted to support them. I wanted to get a non-Amazon brand, just get the Spacer Mobility ones. Spacer Mobility was also on Amazon, I think for the same price, next day shipping, but I decided to buy through the website anyways. And they did traditional USPS shipping. And I don't think they did anything wrong. They shipped it within a couple of days, but it took like 2 weeks to get to my house. Whereas if I just bought Amazon, same style, they would have got less of a cut, but it would have been there the next day. It's like, man, this really makes it hard to order through a website with Amazon being as good as it is. So just wanted to point that out.
I got mine at HomeGymCon. I wear them pretty much every day. I will shower in them. I go outside barefoot in them. I'm walking on concrete. I even put my slides. I'll keep them on because I don't want to take them off if I need to throw on my slides for any reason. I wear them everywhere, and they're just now showing enough wear and tear where it's like I need to think about buying the next pair. And that was HomeGymCon last year, so that's 400 uses. They've held up. They're great.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I have some slides.
Picture.
So this is a cool picture. It's I've reshared it multiple times on multiple platforms because it does do well. And I do think the so we have the 2003, 2023, 2024, 2025. The 2025 should be a little bit larger. So it would be even more drastic. Regardless, cool picture. I don't have too much to add other than we're recording this on a Wednesday night, and we have 100 days until HomeGymCon.
Oh.
I did receive, let me pull up. I did receive a really cool email. I've actually received a few really awesome and random emails recently. I thought this one was the best one though. All right, here we go. Well, it was an older fellow who said, "What's the cost of a ticket to attend the exhibition on both days from 10 to 6? I asked because I seek a price of $49. I am seeing a price for $49. Then when you click it, it says $79.99. I'm 70. Any discounts for seniors, veterans, or retired law enforcement?" And I said, "Here, that's the price. There's the price of 1 day and 2 days. You know, if you send me a nice email like that and you tell me you're 70, you tell me you're a veteran, I'm going to give you more. I'm going to give you a better discount than the 10% you'll find online." So he got a better discount. I'm not going to say that publicly, but he was just very grateful for this event. And he said he's 70 years old. Because he would like to attend because at his age, he'll only have one opportunity to get his home gym right. He's considering some variations of a home gym setup because the kids monopolize the equipment with their selfish and unnecessary use of cell phones at the commercial gyms. Wasteful time was prohibited in all gyms when I was in my prime. And then he was just asking where a couple other things. He said he's coming from Connecticut and would like to find lodging nearby. And yeah, so basically it was just cool to hear somebody who's 70 years old, he's retired, he's going to build out a home gym for the rest of his life that he hopes to use, is going to use this opportunity to come to HomeGymCon and find the right stuff. So that I just thought that was one of the cooler emails I've received. And he later said, I booked my room, I booked my flights, I booked my ticket. So I thought that was cool. And I think there's more people out there doing that will, once they learn of HomeGymCon, that they'll do this as well. I mean, it's something that I've heard other people do for other trade shows. So I just thought that was cool. I thought that was worth sharing.
Yeah. Hey, looking at this as well, listening to a recent Do You Even Lift Bros podcast. It was Kyle talking about you guys' trip to the Arnold, and he was saying that Mars Bar wasn't there. He was saying that the Strength Co wasn't there, and like a lot of these equipment guys like weren't there anymore. So like, how many actual equipment manufacturers do you think made it to the Arnold?
I think there was like 10. There were Rogue was obviously there. Bolt Fitness was there. The Gronks were there. Harambe was there. And there were a few others that just were kind of random and they felt out of place.
Yeah.
Like there was one company that was out of Ohio, and they just, you could tell I don't think they knew exactly what they were getting into, or it just didn't fit. I'm sure they didn't get much out of it. Who else was there? Force USA was there.
Oh, cool.
There were a few others. And then HFA. So we didn't talk about HFA either.
Didn't even know that was a thing until I saw John Greaves III
URSA
videos pop up.
So it's URSA. They've rebranded to Health and Fitness Association.
Okay. So that was the Vegas. That's where you were.
That's where I was. Yeah.
Okay. Because I was like, what? There's like two big ones going on right now. I know Jake's at URSA, and I was like, what's going on here? So,
yes.
All right. Excuse my.
So
ignorance.
they've completely rebranded.
Uh-huh.
Everyone still says HFA, aka URSA. So I think they're still trying to get the word out. Stuff like that just takes time for the general population to catch on. I mean, I thought it was cool. There wasn't anything that like totally stood out to me. It's I don't know. It's a totally different vibe. It's for commercial gyms.
Well, it's high end stuff, right?
Most of it was high end stuff, or
Like, we'll
just
fill
like
out your, yeah.
Well, I was saying to Mike the other day, the biggest thing that these companies go all out for is they know that they are going to get an opportunity in front of leaders of these gyms with $1 million of budgets. So that's why that one exists, and that's why it's been so successful. I mean, there's obviously a reason that companies spend $1 million to put on a show at
Super unique market.
And also huge.
Yeah.
It's like a
I
massive.
could see like hotels going there.
Right. Hotels, YMCA's, like government people, like leaders of like LA Fitness and Crunch Fitness, Planet Fitness.
Can you
They're all
imagine
going
the
there.
contracts they put on the table after an event like that.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Huh.
Actually, so I did get a little like gossip
I love gossip.
as well. I'll share a little gossip. So, two things. So, one, I guess, basically, or I don't want to say, I think what's a word I'm supposed to say before saying like I heard this.
Hypothetically, is
Hypothetically,
is that it? Okay.
but I don't feel like hypothetically works here.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Allegedly.
So, allegedly, yes, that's the word I'm looking for. Allegedly, Technogym sent like legal notes to every single company saying, "Hey, we own this product line." You know, like I don't even know exactly what product it is, but they said you have to take this out immediately, or I guess we're going after you. I don't know. So it happens in that world. I'm sure it happens in that world more.
Techno Gym's good for like they have big like when I think of Techno Gym, I think of like their air runner. I think of like they have like a an air bike. They have like the cardio lines. Do they have more? Do
They have strength
actual,
machines.
They have strength machines. Okay.
Yes.
I figured they were so big, but
yeah, they have everything.
their air machine I was on, I mean, it felt like how much more can you overbuild an air runner? They had the magnetic resistance, they had the high-tech computer, they had the whole shebang.
Yeah. I mean, Technogym had, you know, they just basically bring all of their salespeople. And they're like, I don't know exactly where I think they're like out of Italy. I think they're somewhere out of Europe.
Foreign. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think so.
Hey, what was your take? It was your first time in Vegas. What was your take of the strip? Yeah. It's goofy, isn't it? Did you see any of like the performers on the strip and all that?
Not really.
No. You probably just took the monorail to the convention center?
So it was the Mandalay Bay Convention Center. It was at Mandalay Bay.
What?
No, and it was enormous. It was huge.
That's
like
an old hotel. But yeah, it's nice.
As far as like booth space filled compared to HomeGymCon, I imagine it at least 20 times larger than this upcoming year. Yeah, I believe.
Wow.
I think so. Okay. Yeah, it's like.
Can you even walk through the whole thing? How many hours?
Yeah, you can walk through it. Like you can half a day. You can walk through it for sure. So yeah, there's one, and then number two. I don't know if I really should be saying this out loud, but the rack attached functional trainer. Allegedly, Bodycraft. Do you know Bodycraft?
No, Bodycraft.
So Bodycraft is more like retail, kind of like commercial cardio, and then they also have like a strength line, a lot of strength equipments, but allegedly they have the patent on like a rack attached functional trainer, something along those lines.
Patents are pretty particular for like what you have to infringe on. So if they're going to try to I mean,
Well, allegedly, just about everyone who has a rack attached functional trainer is paying them royalties.
really? I
Yeah.
thought you said like they are allegedly like gonna go after it. So to play ball, I bet.
It's
Oh man.
sounds like they're already collecting them.
So just having that patent is like its own little.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't
I would love to talk to some people and
yeah, I don't know if that's supposed to be out there or not, but
understand how it would hurt anybody, but
no.
it's all alleged, so
Yeah.
it may not even be real.
Uh,
That's what allegedly means, people.
yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I had a good time at HFA, and Vegas was all right. I mean, I was surprised at how many like first of all, the beers are like crazy expensive. It's like
That's why you gotta
$20
play-
beers.
Just take $1, stand at a machine, and you get a free one.
No, I don't feel like they do that anymore.
Jake, Vegas
Do
is
they?
built on free beer. Oh yeah, free when you're playing. But if you don't tip, they never come back to you. So,
I didn't notice that a lot.
no. If
I
that
didn't notice
changed, I'm never going back to Vegas again. That was the best
I don't
part.
know.
It's free drink.
I didn't see like people just handing out free beer. Maybe in like certain areas. Maybe you had to be in like a high rollers area or something like that.
They got the money to pay for the expensive beer. You got to get
Yeah.
schmucks like me to put more money out.
I don't know. I did have a good time. Had drinks with people in the industry and
Fun.
hung out with them, and that was probably the best part of it.
Did you get good weather? I mean, that's always nice
No,
about Vegas.
it
that
was
nice dry
not.
heat. Really?
It was not good weather. No, and I didn't bring a coat.
Oh, it was cold
It was cold
in Las Vegas?
in Vegas. It was
Wow.
cold.
Okay.
Yeah. So I do think it will be good for business though. I think I was able to get in front of some potential vendors, maybe a few this year, and then potentially more who would be considering for next year. So I do think we'll get some big names to sign up by the end of all of this. If not, shoot. But I think we have a chance. All right. Let's move on to some survey results. So this was a tricky one to read. I had a few people say you need to rephrase this. But the question was, are you less likely to buy from companies that knock off other companies with their products? 54% said yes, they are less likely to buy from the companies knocking off. And that is basically the same number we saw last year. Last year it was 55%. And then we did our trust levels survey again. And I will have to say that this was done before Kleva came out with their statement. So trust levels, we've simply asked, what's your level of trust in buying from these companies? So we have kind of a variety of companies, but they're kind of randomly selected. Just like who do I think most people are going to know, and have
strong opinions about it, looks like.
Stronger opinions, and then varying values, and then also a couple in the middle. So, and I removed the neutral votes here, so it's just high, medium, low. As far as high trust levels, Oak was the easy winner with 80%. Again, this was primarily done before the statement was made. Rep was at 69%. Black Widow, 43%. Fringe Sport, 26%. Bells of Steel, 20%. Titan was around 19%. GetRx, 14%. Body Solid was around 12% high trust level, which is kind of surprising to me. They do have like lifetime warranties on just about everything and have been around quite a while. So I'm not exactly sure why their trust levels not higher. I think maybe Amazon has something to do with it. They sell a lot on Amazon. But I'm not quite sure. If anybody has any insight into like maybe why you didn't vote high trust level for Body Solid, that'd be good info. And then Major Fitness was only about 2% as far as high trust level, and you can see the others on the screen. You also may ask, well, how did that compare to last year? And I have that information for you, Adam. So in general, the trust levels are higher for just about everybody. And this is done in a just plus or minus. So trust, the largest increases were from Rogue, Rep, and then Titan. So Titan nearly doubled its high interest votes.
I think that well deserved.
Makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. Everybody else was up too. So you saw Bells of Steel up, GetRx, Fringe. Major Fitness was down a little bit, but they basically had low, high levels of trust to begin with. And then Black Widow went down slightly. So yeah, in general, most are up at least a tad. And then we also have just total amount of neutral votes, which I think we should at least make sure people know. So over 30% were neutral about Major Fitness. Almost 27% were neutral about Black Widow. About 23% for Body Solid. So this gives you a little bit of this gives a little bit of wiggle room as far as like how it can change in the future if more people learn about these companies. So I would say, like, for example, Major Fitness with 30% neutral votes, they have the most potential to change as far as how the rankings come out. So I think that's going to do it.
That's going to do it. Let me give my little spiel here. Jake said that's going to do it for us. So if you like tonight's episode, be sure to keep your eye out for new episode releases wherever you listen to podcasts, and be sure to sign up for Knurled News. You can subscribe for that down below. Hit the link. Get all that great home gym content. All right, Jake, stumbled through that, but do you have anything else left for the listeners?
Nope.
All right, guys, we will see you next time. Bye.